internet friends, I'm Ryan and this is Demos in the Dark, and we're looking at a new optical compressor from Spaceman. And I know compressor, right? Not terribly exciting, but this one actually has some really serious LA2A vibes to it, and I really like the sounds of it. So first thing we're gonna do here is run it down on a mix on multiple guitar tracks and bass, and then come on back here and we will run through the Ixion all by its lonesome. Let's take a deeper dive into the Ixion from Spaceman. Let's start out with the controls, a little bit different than you would expect to see on a compressor. First off, we have a level control. We would expect to see that. We have a mix control that goes from 95% dry to 95% wet. Then we have the threshold control, and that is where your compression is. That's your ratio, and it tops out at a 6:1 ratio. And then we have a cool effect here, which is the contour, which basically retains a lot of the bass depending on how you're setting the compressor. This is super useful for bass, and I actually think that this sounds really good on bass, and I don't like optical compressors on bass. And then finally, for a little bit of fine tuning, you know, you lose some high end with compression. Well, you can just dial it back in right there. The last thing I want to mention, but we're not going to explore, is the side chain jack here. This is useful if you have like a drum machine or something like that there and you want the compression to hit on those beats. The side chain is super cool for that. I use side chaining in studio production all the time, especially if I want a really big kick drum. And what you do is you pump everything into there, and when that kick drum hits, everything else compresses and it makes the kick drum sound massive. So that is a cool trick to have on a guitar pedal. If you were using that guitar pedal for more of a performance thing with synths and different stuff. Tonight, I'm using a Sipe Guitars OH19, and we're running into a Silktone amp. Silktone amp sounds like this. Let's turn some knobs and make some sounds. Really like about this compressor is that it doesn't necessarily sound like a Ross. It doesn't sound like a Dynacomp. It has its own vibe going on, but the vibe is more of an LA2A vibe. And what I really like about that is you can kind of hide the compression just a little bit. So if we take this threshold to like a 3-to-1 and we put the mix about halfway, and then we're going to use the contour to boost some low end, but then also add some high end back in, and then really kick up the level a lot. Sounds pretty awesome and not super duper compressed. That was a brief look at the Ixion optical compressor from Spaceman. I like it. I like it a lot. It's got a lot of vintage vibe to it. There's some of that compression that like the guys from like the Budos band use and stuff like that, that just has an awesome and very unique sound. And you can coax those sounds out of the Ixion very, very easily. It's a cool sounding compressor. I was gonna do some bass, but I just found out that my friend Hondo Felder will be doing a bass demo, so go check that out after this, and thank you for your time.